Alright, so we got UFC 304 coming up this weekend. Bilal versus Leon Edwards, and Blaydes versus Aspinall, both rematches. Pretty solid card. Main card was looking sweet until they decided to put Cup Kayev on the early prelims now, I think, according to the UFC website anyway. So got some preview and predictions coming up. Firstly, quickly run over what happened last week. I went 7-4, so 64% pick rate, correct pick rate. Obviously, you can see there got the Usman Peterson, Liam Meal, Choi Algio and Durden Silva fights wrong. Everything else right, and obviously the Tavares Park fight got scrapped in between me recording the video and then obviously the fight not happening, I guess, the weekend. All times up there too, still above 50%, which is sort of the aim, I guess. Hopefully looking to push that all-time percentage up over 60% in the next couple of weeks. But it's going to take some improvement for sure. So we'll get cracking with this card. First up, we've got Shauna Bannon versus Alice Ardeline. I think Shauna Bannon is going to win this fight. I think she... See, I'm going to go Shauna Bannon by submission. This is not a pick I've seen everywhere. I think Ardeline has been subbed quite a few times. Bannon doesn't have any subs on her pro record, but on her amateur record she's got 2. I think it was like in her second or third amateur fight. And I think in this fight she's going to be patient. Bannon, this is going to be patient and strategic. And I think she's going to gradually wear down Ardeline for the finish. Ardeline's record is, I think, 9-5, and Bannon's is like 9-5, and Bannon's is 5-1 or something. So I guess I would say both relatively inexperienced, but women's MMA you tend to get slightly lower amount of fights. But yeah, I just think I'm going to take a stab here on the underdog at a fairly unlikely outcome, but I think that could come true. Next up, we've got Mick Parkin versus Lucas Brzezinski. I think Parkin is considerably better than Lucas here. I think the odds obviously reflect that in some way. I think Parkin's power and striking ability is going to be what gets it done. And I think he'll end up landing some pretty heavy shots in the first round that'll probably get the KO. So that's going to be my pick, Mick Parkin by KO. Hometown, I don't know if he's from Manchester or not, but I think he trains with Aspinall, so he must be nearby. Anyway, home country fight in England and Manchester. Because Brzezinski likes to come forward a lot and really throw with volume and power. He could punch himself out, but I think Parkin's going to be able to find the opening. Could even be a takedown and some ground and pound. But anyway, moving on to Sam Patterson versus Keith Crosby. I think in this one, I'm going to go Patterson by decision. Keith Crosby is, to be honest, quite terrible. I can't remember who I watched him fight. I think... Was it Blood Diamond? I can't quite remember. Anyway, I've watched him fight before and I haven't been impressed. I think Patterson's striking prowess is going to be one of the things that really takes it over here. I'm going decision just because I don't think he's going to finish him, because I don't think he's got the upside to do so. Don't have a hell of a lot more to say about that one, so I'm going to leave that one there. Skip over Mokaev versus Cup, because I'm going to come to that in a second. I've got a separate slide for that one, because I thought it deserved it. And we'll move straight into Oban Elliott versus Preston Parsons. I thought Oban Elliott was going to win this one. I was going to say him by decision. But then I looked into it a bit more, and I've ended up going with Preston Parsons by submission. I think Elliott's resistance to secure the finish is going to allow Preston Parsons to win. I think he's going to be able to control the pace of the fight, and I think he's going to capitalise on this opportunity to win the fight and get victory via the way of submission. So that's for the early prelims, and we'll just jump into Mokaev versus Cup. I just put up a big screen for them because I thought they deserved it. Obviously, it was a main card fight. I think, there's lots of theories floating around out there as to why it's not on the main card anymore. But Anyway, it doesn't really matter. The fight's still happening, obviously. Well, at this stage, it's still happening. I've got Mikhaev by decision in this one. I've seen a lot of people picking Cup. Obviously, he's the favourite. No, he's not the favourite. No. Let me go back a screen. Sorry, yeah, Mikhaev is the favourite. But I have seen a lot of people picking Manel Cup. I don't entirely disagree with it. And I can see, I think if Cup wins, it's going to be probably by a knockout, maybe coming by a knee when Mikhaev shoots in. Mikhaev on the feet is quite terrible, and I think he possibly is going to get exposed here. But I think that the hometown advantage is going to get him the win, possibly on the cards. And I think his wrestling and control will be pivotal. And I think he'll manage to rack up like 8 to 10 minutes of control time across the 15-minute fight. And this is really going to push him on. This is pretty much a number one contender fight, which is weird why it's been chucked down to the early prelims, as we see on the website. But who knows, that might be completely wrong. Yeah, I think Mikhaev is probably next for Pantoja after this one. And then maybe, I don't know, Kara France Usyk winner might get the next shot after that. But anyway, my pick, Mikhaev by decision. I think he gets it done, racking up that control time, as I said. Jumping into the regular ESPN prelims. First fight, Modestas Bukauskas versus Marcin Prachnio. Another one I've gone back and forth on. I was going to pick Prachnio as the underdog here because I've watched Bukauskas a few times and not been too impressed. But I have ended up going Bukauskas by knockout. I think of Bukauskas' fights, I think he's got 9 wins by knockout in professional MMA, and Prachnio has been knocked out a number of times. I think Modestas is going to be too powerful and too precise for Prachnio, and I think this is going to really push him sort of. This is like a very notable win. I feel like it's a name, you know, and I think this is going to show his potential in the future. Obviously, coming off that pretty nasty leg injury, which I think that was against Khalil Rountree, wasn't it? I think he was the one that damaged his leg and left him out for a long time. But yeah, I think Modestas Bukauskas by knockout, probably in like the second round or something, maybe third round. Yeah, I think Prachnio is going to get a bit over his skis, as they say, a bit over aggressive. Then moving on to Jake Hadley versus Calvin Loughran. I'm going with Loughran by decision. So I do think Jake Hadley is the bit more skilled fighter, but I also believe he's coming up from flyweight for this fight. And Loughran's like a really, really big, stocky dude. And I can just see him like pushing Hadley up against the fence. I think this is going to be a terrible fight. I'm going to be completely honest. I think this is going to get boos from the crowd. Yeah, I mean, that's just my take. I think Loughran's going to be bigger, and he has kind of got a tendency to like just do a lot of clinch work up against the fence. So I think that's going to get him the decision win here. With sort of, I mean, stand-up control time, I guess you call it. The second to last fight on the prelims, Molly McCann versus Bruna Brazil. I think Molly McCann's going to knock her out here. The odds suggest I think she's really sort of got a setup here to get a highlight finish, a big spot against an opponent that's sort of outmatched here. I think her powerful striking is going to be the difference. And I think this is going to be a strong statement for her moving down into the strawweight division, obviously. She was kind of bullied around a bit up at flyweight, and now moving down to strawweight. As long as she consistently can make the weight healthily, I think it was a good move for her because, she's a good fight. She's fairly skilled. She's got a lot of pop on her shots for a lady, no offense. You don't often see the women knock each other out like Molly's been knocked. She's kind of like Andrade in that respect. She's just got that sort of, I feel like she's got that extra level of aggression to her that allows her to get like big knockouts. So I can see it happening here against Bruna Brazil again. I'm not sure how. Maybe just an overhand. Maybe we see the spinning elbow come out again. But I'm pretty confident Molly's going to get this one. And then lastly, Nathaniel Wood. I've gone him by submission. Pineda, he's got a huge record, doesn't he? I think he's got like over 10 losses. Quite a few have come by submission. And Nathaniel Wood is a fairly skilled grappler. and he has some submission skills. So I think he's going to be pretty decisive here after applying some pressure and controlling the fight and breaking Pineda down. And yeah, I think he'll get the submission. Probably not in the first round. I think the first round might be a bit of a filling out process, as you see often. But I think he'll sub Pineda second or third round. Huge favourite here. Sort of similar to Molly in the fact that I think he's been given a big spot. I think he had a few tough results lately against some decent opponents. So yeah, Nathaniel Wood by submission. That rounded out the prelims, and then we move on to the main card. Opening up with Arnold Allen versus Giga Chikadze. Now, Arnold Allen I am a bit concerned about here. I'll say my pick first. So I've got Arnold Allen by knockout in round 1. I'm going to break this down how I think it's going to happen. So Giga Chikadze, granted, never been knocked out in his pro career. Not sure about it before that, but in his pro career he definitely hasn't been knocked out. He is a slow starter though, and we've seen, like, against what happened to Dan Hooker, I think something very similar is going to happen here. I think Arnold Allen is, because he's going to have to get on the inside. He can't fight at range with Giga, right? So he's either going to have to use his grappling or get in on the inside. So I think once he gets in on the inside, I think he's going to blitz Giga, and I think he's going to get him in the first round. I think if the fight extends out, if the fight, let's say for argument's sake, goes to decision, and it's on the feet 90% of the time, I've got Giga all day of the week. But I just do think that Arnold Allen, the younger fighter, coming off those two losses, well, the Movsar loss was unfortunate. I felt like that was a very close fight. Not, you can't say a robbery, but it was a close fight. And he did bloody well against Max Holloway as well. Obviously, the knee injury against Cater was, it was what it is. Decision win against Sadiq Yusuf and the knockout win over Dan Hooker, TKO standing. Giga Chikadze got some good wins there. Lost to Calvin Cater. I think that was by decision over 5 rounds. Everyone was expecting him to come in there, beat Calvin, and push on to the title and fight against Volk. But I think Arnold Allen is too hungry here. Giga, I feel like he hasn't fought in ages, but there is that Caceres fight, which I can't exactly remember when that happened. But yeah, I think Arnold Allen's going to do it. But it could go either way. But that's my pick. My pick's Arnold Allen KO in the first round. Christian Leroy Duncan versus Gregory Rodriguez. Another close one. Leroy Duncan looks good. He has had a bit of susceptibility to takedowns, which if Rodriguez can get him there, I think it's over. Quite brutally and honestly, I think it's over if Rodriguez gets him to the ground. My pick is going to be Rodriguez by sub in round 2. Rodriguez is a sneaky great grappler. He's won many jiu-jitsu competitions. He is like a high-level black belt, pretty much. And he has been impressive since making it into the UFC. Obviously, that KO loss to Bruno Ferreira. I believe that I seem to remember that fight was going back and forth, so it was a close one. And obviously, the other 4 wins there. I think Leroy Duncan is getting. I think he's been pushed a bit too hard here. I think they should have given him a slightly easier opponent on home soil here to showcase his skill and get a win. But I think Gregory Rodriguez is going to win by submission. Probably. What submission? I'm going to say a head and arm like choke, like a arm triangle choke. I think it is, where they the one that Makachev did to Oliveira. I can see Rodriguez getting a takedown, maybe being in full guard or half guard, locking up that head and arm choke, stepping out to the side and squeezing, and being over for Leroy Duncan, unfortunately. But I don't think this is going to be it for him. I think Leroy Duncan has got a future. This is just a tough matchup. The featured bout, King, just about said Bobby, King Green versus Paddy Pimblett. Yeah, yet again, another one that's fairly tricky to pick, Bobby, obviously coming off that win against Jim Miller at 300. That was an awesome win. I thought he performed very well in that fight. The loss to Jalen Turner, the gravely late stoppage, and then obviously Grant Dawes and Tony Ferguson, and the no contest after he intentionally headbutted Jared Gordon. And then obviously Paddy with his first 3 fights in the UFC being fairly comfortable. The quote-unquote robbery against Jared Gordon, and then the win over Tony Ferguson. My pick here is going to be Pimblett by decision. I think Pimblett's going to work the grappling. I think King Green, obviously great on the feet, not easy to take down, but I mean, look, this is going to sound outrageous, but we saw what Makhachev did to Green. You can take him down, and I understand that Pimblett is nowhere near the grappler that Makhachev is, but Pimblett is also severely underrated. Like, I feel like people take him as a bit of a joke because obviously his personality and sort of who he is, the hair, the blowing up between camps in terms of weight. I can't get over the fact that he is actually skilled. Like we saw against Tony Ferguson. I think, yeah, I reckon he can just take Green down and control him, and I think he'll get it done by decision. I think it might be like 29-28. I think there might be a round where he just can't get Green down, maybe the third round where he's a little bit gassed and Bobby can stuff the takedowns. But don't get me wrong, it's going to be a close fight, good fight, competitive fight, but I do think Pimblett gets it done by decision. I certainly can't see him knocking. Oh, yeah, it's a hard one. I'm going to say Pimblett by decision. Anyway, moving on to the co-main event. Tommy Aspinall versus Curtis Blaydes. I've just realised I didn't change Paddy Pimblett's name to Curtis Blaydes on this slide. Sorry about that. Paddy Pimblett is not fighting Tom Aspinall. I will just confirm that. We'll ignore that. Anyway, Tom Aspinall versus Curtis Blaydes. Obviously, the first fight back in London. What was it? I think it's 2 years ago. Sort of today or yesterday or something. With the knee injury. Since then, he's come back, fought Marcin Tybura about a year ago again. Instead of 2 years, so a year after the injury. And then about 9 months ago in November, he took out Sergey Pavlovich, obviously, to get the interim strap there. It's a tough fight to break down because I do see a path to victory for Blaydes. If he can stay out of the way of Aspinall's big shots on the feet and take Aspinall down, because it's hard to say what Aspinall's like off his back. Obviously, he's got a couple subs in the UFC, but I don't think he's ever really been taken down necessarily. I do think that Tom Aspinall is going to be. I think the big thing is going to be how quick he's going to be. Compared to Curtis Blaydes on the feet. I think Blaydes is a solid striker, but I think Aspinall's a special striker. Got those... I mean, the shot that he KO'd Tybura with, Tybura's hands were up. It almost looked like he took a dive. He just hit him straight down the pipe, through his guard, bang, out. Pavlovich, similar. I saw an interview the other day where Aspinall said he was just... Those shots he was just throwing out to touch him, just to see... Because he'd got the range after he got clipped. And then he's just throwing those shots out to the field, and he just landed it right on it was like on the temple, just above, like around, just above the ear area. Yeah, I think Aspinall's going to be too quick. Aspinall by knockout in round 2, I think. I think first round, we might even see Blaydes get a takedown late in the round. But I think it'll be a bit of a feeling out process. Obviously, both guys will remember their first fight where Aspinall got injured. And I think, I mean, they came out hell for leather in that fight, but I think that was my theory for that first fight, is that Aspinall knew his knee was compromised, and I think he knew he needed a super quick finish, like quicker than normal. Well, his finishes are usually pretty quick, but quicker than normal finish. I think he thought he needed that to get it done, and then obviously the knee went when it went, but yeah, I think Aspinall knockout second round, like maybe a 1-2. Oh, sorry, maybe a 1-2 that rocks Blaydes, and then he's sort of stumbling backwards towards the cage, and Aspinall just lands maybe just a straight right down the pipe, drops him, finishes off with ground and pound if necessary. But yeah, I definitely do back Aspinall to get this one done. Then the main event, Leon Edwards versus Belal Muhammad. This is a tough one. Belal is actually quite good. I'm not picking him out. I'll put it out there. I'm going Edwards. I think Edwards is going to win, but I think people are overlooking Belal Muhammad when they say that Edwards is going to win without thinking about it too much. Look, Belal has, like, those last 5 wins are all really solid. Damian Maia, Wonderboy Thompson, Vicente Luque, Sean Brady, Gilbert Burns. Great wins. Obviously, Edwards has got the 2 wins against Kamaru, Nate, Colby, and then since then, obviously, the no contest against Bilal. I think, from what I've seen in the first fight, I think Edwards can really, really just outpace, and not in terms of pace, because that's cardio. I think Bilal's got the upper hand there, but I think Edwards is a lot quicker than Bilal. And I think over the first 2 or 3 rounds, I think he's going to have a big advantage on the feet and be able to stuff the takedowns. I don't see Edwards getting taken down any more than once in the first 3 rounds. I think he wins all 3 of those rounds because of the striking, and then if he gets taken down in one, I think the striking's worth more than whatever Bilal gets done on the ground. And then in the last 2 rounds, I can see Bilal sort of coming back and maybe winning 1 or 2 rounds there. But my pick is Edwards by decision. It's kind of the safe pick. I definitely can see Edwards knocking out Bilal. Also, a sneaky pick is Edwards by submission. I don't know. I just like it, but my pick is decision. But I can definitely see all 3 outcomes going Edwards' favour. The only way I can see Bilal beating Leon is by decision. I don't think he can knock him out. I don't think he will knock him out. And I don't think he will sub him. So yeah, that's the whole card. Overall thoughts, obviously I think from my predictions, I think the 2 belts are going to stay in the UK. Pimlet's going to get a dub. Leroy Duncan's going to lose to Gregory Rodriguez. And I think Arnold Allen's going to beat Chikadze. I've broken all the fights down fairly in depth this week, so I won't talk about it too much more. Obviously next week we've got another card coming up. We'll be back for that one. But for now, this is what I got for this week. Thanks for tuning in. Apologies about my voice. I'm sort of coming down with something. But anyway, thanks for tuning in. Like and subscribe if you can, if you'd like to. And yeah, we'll catch you next week. Enjoy the card. This is going to be a good one, I think. Cheers.